Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to all of you and our guests as well. On behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Board of Directors and the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club Board, I call to order the 9th meeting of the 61st year of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Our invocation today, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, will be given by Father Don King, President of Stark County Catholic High Schools. Father?
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, be with us in this time we spend together. May the thoughts and words we share today be kind and generous. May our speaker bless us with words that inspire us and make us better people. May the food we've shared and the people we love be blessed. Make us faithful in your service and praise. And may your name be praised forever. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have some special guests here today. I want to recognize and make sure that everyone gets a chance to thank for being here. To my far right, your left, is the pride of Canton South High School. He is also a college teammate of our speaker today at Bowling Green, played the USFL, NFL with the Cleveland Browns, and we're glad he's part of our WHBC broadcast team now. Please welcome Mark Miller. Next to him is our Vice President of our club, Dennis Manzella. You met Father King. To my left, your right, is the Board of Directors Trustee, Becky Richard. We'll be introducing our speaker today. Next to Becky, in the middle, is Max Lambright. He is a friend and longtime friend of Coach Kampe's. And then obviously our speaker today, Coach Greg Kampe. One of the things that was pointed out to me, I know we've had, over the last few weeks, we've had Mike Doss, Ray Freeman. Along with Ray Freeman, he had a friend that was here with him, Greg Cameron, and also Coach Kampe. All are part of that National Football Hall of Fame, high school Hall of Fame class. So kind of keeping the theme going. Also want to recognize our sponsors. They are up on the board there. Wilkshire Golf Course, Liberty Ford, All Cares Primetime Health Plan, Marion Motley Memorial Fund Scholarship, and Dr. Peter Ferguson. Well, what a great weekend again for Stark County high school football. We had some winners, we had some losers. The winners will move on and give you the slate for this Friday night. Some tough games obviously starting to emerge here because we are in the regional semifinals of the playoffs. We have 6 teams remaining, area teams. Division I, Region I, being played at Byers Field in Parma. We've got Lakewood St. Edward taking on our Canton McKinley Bulldogs. That game, again, 7 o'clock start in Byers Field. Division II, Region 7, Massillon takes on Lake, so we've got 2 Stark County teams playing each other, that one at North Canton Hoover High School. Also in Division II, Green will take on Canal Winchester. That one is at Dover High School, so if you want to go down there, it's not too far of a drive. And then finally in Division IV, Region 13, again, Canton South 12-0, taking on West Branch. So really 2 area teams as well. And that one will be played at Louisville High School. So we've got some good games coming up. Congratulations to the Buckeyes. They won on Saturday. I had a chance to take that one in. I had a group of guys that went over to Rutgers, and what a great place to watch a football game. So congratulations to them, and hopefully they'll remain number one in the football polls. And the Browns, big winners on Sunday. So good pitch to shutout. So good job. Lost a local guy not too far away. I'm sure you all have heard by now, but Coach Bobby Knight passed away. Born in Massillon, raised in Orville, and Bob Knight passed away this past weekend. Okay, we started selling tickets today for the November 20th date at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Again, the tickets do say the 13th, but it is the 20th, so we will be here next week, and Don Hertler Jr. will be the speaker, and then we will go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame on November 20th. If you're not receiving the newsletter, make sure you see RJ. And want to also congratulate, we had some state champions crowned this week in cross country from our area. Jackson boys, the Marlington boys, and the Minerva girls, all state champions. One last thing, I will not be here next week, so Dennis will be filling in for me, and I'm sure he'll do a great job as always, but I'll try to tune in when I'm on vacation, we'll see. All right, takes us to our raffle. We have $153 in the raffle 50-50 today.
Weird. Coach, grab one of those. Weird number.
Must be a blue ticket.
Must be.
10%?
All right. 978-889. 978-889.
Take a pair of scissors.
Put them together.
Nobody?
They're hard to read.
Make sure I'm gonna check mine. Oh, we do have a winner? Okay, Billy Costello has the money. Well, he's at the bar. Maybe he'll buy afterwards. All right. Next week, as I mentioned, our speaker will be Don Hertler Jr., former coach, head football coach at North Canton High School. So we'll welcome Don Hertler next Monday. Leads me to our introduction of our speaker today. And introducing our speaker is one of our board trustees. Please welcome Becky Richard.
Good afternoon. I feel very honored to introduce this week's speaker. I recently learned a cool fact. My teenage idol was Donny Osmond, and Coach Kampe and Donny Osmond has the same birthday. So I was really excited. And I also want to mention that the doctor that I used to work for, Dr. Case, Coach Kampe and his friend Max played basketball with Dr. Case at Defiance High School. So I was really excited about that. Okay, on a serious note, Coach Greg Kampe enters his 40th season at the helm of Oakland men's basketball program. He is the longest tenured Division I coach in the country and number 10 on the active all-time win list with 675 wins. The longtime Oakland coach was named to the 2017 Michigan Sports Hall of Fame class on May 31st, 2017. Joining Mitch Albom, John Jansen, Jim Leyland, Dean Look, Andre Rison, Dennis Rodman, and Jalen Rose. He is also a 2012 Oakland University Athletics Hall of Fame inductee. Also a 2023 American Basketball Hall of Fame inductee. Coach Kampe has dedicated a lot of his free time to charity and nonprofit organizations throughout the community. He has helped the American Cancer Society raise over $1 million. He has spent time as a volunteer for 8 days, leading a military team in Kuwait, helped with the Boys and Girls Club of America, and also raised awareness for the Oakland County Shelter for Women in Need, and spends countless hours with Beyond on basic education of the inner city children. In 2016, he received the Sparky Anderson Community Excellence Award. The award is presented to an individual who has excelled in their professional field while making a significant impact with charities throughout the community. I feel that he deserves a round of applause. I'm not done yet. Be nice. I mean, I could went on and on because he's done a lot. He is an Ohio native, having played 3 sports at Defiance High School in Defiance, Ohio, and was in the first class of the National High School Football Hall of Fame. He then attended Bowling Green University and earned first team all academic honors in both football and basketball. His father, Kurt, brother Kurt III, and sons Keith, Branch, and Press were all athletes as well. Now let's all give Coach Greg Kampe a Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club welcome.
Father, you put a lot of pressure on me. I've never had somebody, are you a priest? A priest say that before. Maybe I can teach you guys something, I don't know. That guy down there, see, they just said I went in the High School Football Hall of Fame, right? And you can tell I'm not real big, but that guy down there and I went to college together. We were in the same recruiting class and we showed up. I was a high school quarterback. And honestly, should I be in the High School Football Hall of Fame? Probably not, but I think what they needed was, I came from Defiance, Ohio, which is a very small community. And I think in that day I represented the player from a small town, Ohio. You know, that was during the 10-year war. That was when high school football might have been at its peak, but Woody and Bo. And I think that, you know, they were looking for somebody that might represent a small town, and I was the guy that got fortunately picked. And I'm very grateful for that. But the truth of the matter is so my senior year in high school, I played every down, every possession. In basketball, it's called possession. In football, every down. I was the quarterback, the punter, the kicker, the punt returner, the kick returner, the safety. And many times we only had 9 or 10 on the field, and I had to play 2 possessions. Max is here, my friend from high school. He was a lineman on our team. And, you know, we've been lifelong friends, which is what small towns do. So I show up to Bowling Green, and I get recruited as a quarterback, okay? So we come in the summer, and we have this workout, and this guy's there. And now he's only a foot taller than I am. And then I saw him throw the ball, and they told you he played in the NFL, right? I didn't. But I'm in the Hall of Fame. So after the first practice, I went to Don Nalen, who was also in the Hall of Fame, who was our coach. The great thing about Bowling Green is we played for a Hall of Fame coach in a stadium named after Dwight Perry, named also in the Hall of Fame, right? So I go to Coach Nalen afterwards and, hey, this Miller guy, I think I need to move to defense. And he goes, Greg, I think you should too. So I was a defensive back at Bowling Green, and he was Mark was an unbelievable player, but I'm going to tell you something, he was a better person than he was a player, and I can't thank you enough for being here today, Mark. Okay. So now that we got the crap about my life out of the way, let's talk about something that you really want to hear about, okay? So we open at Ohio State tonight, and that's why I'm here. They called, asked if I'd do this. I said, well, we play Ohio State on this opening Monday, and I'm going to be in town, and I missed the shoot-around today to come talk to you, okay? Now, my players are really happy that I wasn't in the shoot-around. And You know, opening games are really hard. When you're a mid-major program and you go on the road to make money, and last year we opened at West Virginia, and we really should have won the game. I think we lost 60-56 or something like that. And the officiating, I mean, Bob Huggins' team, we're winning the game, okay? For the last 12 minutes of the game, they did not commit a foul. Now, if you, I'm guessing you guys, Bob was here, you know, he's in Ohio and he coached at Cincinnati. You've seen his teams play, right? His motto in coaching, what he teaches is if all 5 guys foul at once, they can only call one of them. 12 minutes. I really wasn't that upset because I thought my team played pretty good. I think it was a 4-point game. And the next game we went to Oklahoma State and we won. So I knew I had a good basketball team, but the thing that really kind of upset me was walking off the court at West Virginia. You don't ever want to go there, okay? It's not a place. They have this thing where all the players go out and all the cheerleaders and the guy shooting a rifle, they go out in the middle of the court and they sing Almost Heaven, West Virginia, when the game's over.
Yep.
So I do my radio show, I'm walking off, and I look back, and there next to Huggin are the 3 officials. They're all together singing it. So I'm a little, do the Buckeyes have any song they sing after that? So, 40 years I've been the head coach, 46 years in the business. Don't ask me how, because I have no idea how I've survived. Izzo, the coach of Michigan State, you probably have heard of him. He and I have been kind of into it for a long time together. He calls me every other week, maybe once a week he calls, and he starts every conversation with, Camp, why are we still doing this? I said, Tom, you make $8 million a year. That's why you're doing it. I don't make anywhere near that, and I have a very expensive golf habit. That's why I'm going to continue to do this. So I had Izzo, Jay Billis, and probably a guy you've heard of. His name's Blake Corum. Have you heard of him? He's number 2 for Michigan. So we had them come in. I had them come in. I had to raise money to take my team to Italy this summer. And everybody wants, everywhere I go now, the only thing people want to talk about is the NIL. Well, that's not true. That was up until about 2 weeks ago. Now the only thing they want to talk about is sign stealing. So I would like to talk about sign stealing, but before I do, I want to go back to the NIL. I had Jay Billis, because Jay Billis is all for the student, make money and ruin the game. Tom Izzo is all against it. They're good friends, but they, you know, I knew they'd get into it. And so I charged people $1,000, 100 people to come in, and we had an unbelievable night. And in the 2 hours that we spoke, and Blake Corum, by the way, was unbelievable as a student athlete, as a representation on this panel. And I'm not for Michigan, I'm not for Ohio State, I'm for Oakland, okay? But I would hire that guy in a minute because that kid was unbelievable. But we had this great conversation. And so what I want to do is today, instead of me really talking to you, I want to be able to answer your questions about it, because I know one thing, most people don't really understand what's going on, okay? So I would like to do that. And then the other thing I would like to talk about is the sign stealing and is what's going on, because right now, if you know, my school's located, in case you didn't know, we're not in California. All right. I got my first, when we first got into a new league, we were in, it was called the Mid-Continent Conference. We're in the Horizon League now, and the Mid-Continent Conference, and Kansas City was in that, okay? And I'm at the first league meeting, and the assistant athletic director from the University of Kansas City, and I never heard of them. I mean, have you ever heard of the University of Kansas City, Missouri? I mean, he comes to me and he says, hey, when we come and play you this year, can you get me on Pebble Beach? I said, what's your position? You're an assistant. No wonder you guys aren't any good. I mean, So we're not in California. We're in the Detroit suburb. And so I've got to listen to all during the fall. We don't have football, so I have to listen to all the crap on sports radio. And for some reason, because you've coached 40 years at a place, everybody wants your opinion. You know, I've got to do the Sunday night sports talk shows, and I get the calls, and, you know. And so everybody wants to know about the sign stealing thing. And let me tell you this, okay? Whatever your belief on it is this. Tonight, we'll get the opening tip. No, we won't. They'll get the opening tip. They'll go down and score, and then we'll bring the ball up. And I'll stand up and I'll yell something out, like I'll yell, bunch 4, or slice 5, or something like that. It's a play, okay? Not that my guys will run it. They'll probably screw it up. But somebody on Ohio State's bench is going to go, bunch 4, and write it down. And then we play Illinois Friday night, right? So tomorrow, the Illinois coach will call the Ohio State assistant, and he'll say, what's their play calls? And they'll match up what I said versus the film. And so when we go to Illinois on Friday, I'm going to stand up and go bunch 4, and the assistant at Illinois is going to go over there, he's coming here. That's just part of the game. It's been done forever. There is no rule against it, okay? So the reason that Michigan's in trouble, or supposedly in trouble, who knows what the truth is. Hopefully the truth will come out. I doubt it, never does, but hopefully it will. When I was 23, 24 years old, I started my coaching career as an assistant at the University of Toledo. And what would happen is, we're going to play Minnesota, okay? So the head coach says to me, all right, you're getting in your car and you're driving to Minnesota. And I'm like, where? Minneapolis? You mean like 15 hours? Yeah, you're going there and you're going to sit, and you're going to scout them, and you're going to come back. And then their third game, they're home again, you're going to go there again. Because at Toledo, we couldn't afford to fly, right? At Ohio State, they would have flown there. And so that's what scouting was back then. Well, finally, people did, if you remember, looking at this crowd, most of you probably do remember, back in the 70s, okay, videotape was like, my dad was a high school football coach. He had 16 millimeter film, and he'd splice the film in that, right? Well, today, all I do is I say into a thing, I want to see all our turnovers. And by the time I walk from the floor to my office, some guy will run in with, here's our 16 turnovers, bam, bam, bam. It took 4 seconds. The technology is so great, right? So the NCAA came and said, look, why are we spending all this money? Why is he going to Minnesota 3 times and spending thousands of dollars? We're going to do away with in-person scouting. We're not going to allow that. We're going to do it all. So if we played, we play Ohio State tonight, right? Well, we had 2 exhibition games. They had 2. And they call us and say, hey, send me your 2 exhibition games. We did. They sent us our, and that's how we scout. You know, it's just, that's the rules now. The only reason it's there is to save money. So in essence, what Michigan did is not illegal. Stealing signs is part of the game. We all do it. We all know it. What they did is they broke the in-person scouting rules. Now, there's only one case of that. A football coach at Butler about 5 years ago did it and got caught. Now, I guarantee you it's going on. Guarantee it. But everybody wants the edge, right? Everybody got to get the edge, unfortunately. And the guy that did that got, I think, a 1 or 2 game suspension. So everybody who's sitting there saying Harbaugh's going to get fired and Michigan's going to go on probation and they're going to shut the season down, and the reason all that's going on, and if you lived in Michigan, first of all, it's you people that have caused it for us. Ohio State is the reason. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. There was someone on a talk radio show that says Ryan Day's going to jail. I don't know. All I know is that it's an integrity thing, right? It's an integrity thing. Who knows what's going to happen with it? I think it's getting so blown out of proportion, he could be in trouble. It really could be. It shouldn't be. It should have been, okay, that guy, you're suspended or whatever. and let's move on. Don't you ever do it again. Slap on the wrist. But it's social media today has changed the world. It's changed coaching. It's why Izzo calls me and says, why are we still doing this? Right? Because the kids are so different today. So different. I saw the Eagles in concert last week. Joe Walsh. We all know who he is, right? Greatest statement I ever heard. Just before he sang Life's Been Good, he said, you know, people, when I was in my 20s, living in the 70s was great. Now that I'm in my 70s, living in the 20s, it ain't so good. And I thought about that and said, I got 2 more years and then I'm using that line. Anyway, so as far as the NIL is concerned and the transfer portal, I think it's the worst thing that's ever happened to our game. Now, if the NIL was really what the NIL was supposed to be, then it's fantastic. I had my point guard. I've had 5 NBA players in the last 15 years. So while you might think we're in Oakland, we've been pretty damn good, okay? And I've had some really, really good players. Kendrick Nunn was runner-up rookie of the year in the NBA. He averaged 28 a game for me, okay? I had a point guard that just graduated. Before the NIL, they couldn't make any money or do anything, right? So now he can run his own basketball camp. So this young man went out and ran a basketball camp. I helped him, showed him how to set it up. We got a guy, a donor of ours, to fund it for him. He made some money on it, and then he was from Cloverdale, Indiana, which is a very poor school. He went to Cloverdale on the first day of school. There are 365 students at that school. He had 365 backpacks full of highlighters, paper, pens, things like that. And every kid that walked, and well, his name was on the backpack, but every kid that walked through that door got it that day. That's what the NIL was supposed to be. You're a car dealer, and Jalen Moore, my point guard, everybody knows who he is, right? If that's for me, tell him I'll be there in time for the game. Jalen Moore, if you're a car dealer, should be able to go and get on TV and go, hey, I got my truck from so-and-so Ford, right? That's what it was supposed to be about. Not these collectives. Not this, I'm trying to raise money. It's hard enough to raise money, right? Now I'm asking all our boosters, all our fans, instead of giving money to my program for our nutrition, you know, because today nutrition's the biggest thing we have to raise money for, feeding our kids. All the research shows that if a kid eats within 30 minutes after he works out, it's better than the weight room, okay? I could go into that. I don't know if I agree with it, but we got to raise money. Instead, I'm asking, put money in our collective so I can keep my players. All right? So every one of you has a grandson, great-grandson. Okay. So if I were to show up to your grandson, and because he's a really good basketball player, and try and recruit him, until this NIL thing came in, the first question that your great-grandson or your grandson or your son would have for me is, can you make me a pro? I wanted to be a pro. When you played, you wanted to be a pro. We all wanted to be pros. That's the first question, right? And my answer is, oh, heck yeah, I have 5 NBA players. Kendrick Nunn, you want to call him? I can call him right now, you know. The second question they want to know was about our facilities. Well, on game day, our facility, ESPN called our game day facility the best mid-major. I don't think it is, but they said it, so I tell everybody it is, okay? I don't show them behind the scenes, I just show them game day. In fact, you wouldn't even see the locker room if you came to my place. Now, when I go in and I meet your grandson or your son, they only have one question. How much you gonna pay me? That's all they want to know. I ain't paying you anything. I almost swore on that. I'm not going to pay him anything. Why would I pay you? I'm giving you a full scholarship. But you know what? I had a son go to the Berklee College of Music. He was obviously a very good musician. That was $100,000 a year, right? $400,000, and now he's in LA starving.
Yep.
I'm not kidding. I'm going to give you an education. It's a vehicle for the rest of your life. You're going to have a degree. You're going to be able to make money because only 1% of college Division I basketball players play in the NBA. 1%. And you ain't looking like you're in that 1%. But how much am I going to pay? And so it's really changed everything. One of the things I talked about my team all the time is you've got to overcome fear. You've got to overcome fear. Not the type of fear that Mark and I had. My fear when they moved me to defense was I was going to get my body broken in half when I tried to tackle somebody, right? Look at me, I wasn't real big. The fear that they've got to overcome now is the fear of acceptance, right? Because all they care about is they'll get on their telephone and they'll tweet something out, although I don't think it's called a tweet anymore. They'll tweet something out. Do we all know what a tweeting is? And then they'll sit on that phone and they'll read every comment. And I said to them, who's this person that just said you're an idiot? I don't know. Well, then why do you care? Right? The fear and acceptance that these kids are going through today, it's so difficult. And it's so mind-boggling for me as supposedly a guy, when you say, what have you done worth value in your life as a coach? The first thing I would point to is, she read off the cancer stuff and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, that's part of my duty, right? I have a voice in the community, so I have to do those things. Now, our fans wish I wouldn't do those things. They wish I'd spend more time coaching, right? But you have to do those things. But the thing that I think that anybody that's coached, no matter what level, from you coaching 4th grade girls to doing what I do, is what happens to them when they're done. Where are they today? What value have you brought to their lives so that they can lead a meaningful existence? They can be a good father, since I coach men. They can be an understanding person. They can be a great member of society. We tell our players, we want you to be the best basketball player, because if they're not, I'll get fired. The best person and the best student that you can be. And that's what we preach and we teach. And that's what we want. That's what the rewarding side of this job is. And it's so hard today because of those telephones. I mean, it's crazy that telephone runs these kids' lives. And then the other side of that is, I look at my freshmen when they come in and they have their iPhone, whatever, 14 or 9 or whatever it is. Do you understand that 4 years from now when you graduate, that phone's going to be obsolete? Well, what do you mean, Coach? I mean, everything that you do on that phone, the technology is going to be so much better now that you won't even, wouldn't even want that phone anymore. You would say, I'll throw that phone away. That this world is changing that fast and these kids can't keep up with it. I was at a wedding this summer and the maid of honor stands up and gives her speech and goes, and reads off her phone, her speech. That's just what this is. So that's what we're fighting. If you have any questions on NIL or you want to talk about the Harbaugh thing, I'll give you the best I can give on it. But I know there's so many misconceptions on the NIL and the transfer portal. Well, Ohio State, we're going to play tonight, Ohio State, and they got a guy from Minnesota that was Minnesota's leading scorer last year. Could you imagine that, Mark, when we were playing? I hated Miami of Ohio. How could a guy at Minnesota want to play at Ohio State? Right? But all it is about me now. What's a better situation? My buddy Kevin Willard, the head coach at Maryland, basketball coach at Maryland, he says all my kids went in the portal at the end of the year. And I said, well, are you mad about that? He goes, no, they're just trying to find out what they're worth. They'll probably come back because they ain't worth shit. I do have one portal story I got to tell you. Just one. So I had a player, and he thought he was really good. He comes to me, he goes, Coach, I think I'm going to go in the portal. I just want to find out what I'm worth. And I go, well, you were third team all-league this year. If you come back to Oakland, you'll probably be third team again. Maybe you could move up to second. I'm probably not going to, you can't make free throws, so I'm not going to play you the last 3 minutes of games, and blah, 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 okay? He goes, all right. He goes, I don't think I'm going to go in. So I leave and go to the national tournament, the Final Four. And at halftime of the, I don't look at my phone during the first half of the game. At halftime, I pick up my phone, I got 287 text messages. And I'm thinking, oh God. When you're in my business and you get a phone call after midnight, you get 287 text messages. If you hadn't just beat Ohio State, right, then something's wrong. So I open it up and I look, Dan Oladobo's gone in the portal. Yeah. So the kid that said he wasn't going to go went in. Not only did he go in, he went in at halftime of the national championship game. Like, Dan, you think people really give a shit that you went in the portal when Villanova's beating whoever? So, okay. So he sends me a text. He says, Coach, I know we talked, but I just want to find out. I'm coming back. So I don't answer it. So a day goes by, and he sends me another text. Coach, I don't answer. Day 3, he says, Coach, I can come back, can't I? And I wrote 2 letters. N-O. So that night, I had gotten back, and I went to dinner with my son and got to see my grandchildren. And my son, who's sits on the floor. You know, we have floor seats at Oakland. We are big time enough to have floor seats. And he has to pay, too, just because he knows the coach doesn't get him out of it. His wife's favorite player is Dan. And she looks at me and she says, what's wrong with you? And I go, what do you mean? She goes, this day and age, why wouldn't you let him go? And then he wants to come back, take him back. And I looked at her and I said, her name, I can't remember her name. The 70s when I was in my 20s were really good. Ashley. Ashley looks at me, and my son's name is Keith. And she looks at me and says all that. And I said, okay, Ash. Keith is going to go into the wife portal tomorrow. He's just going to look around. Probably coming back. You're going to take him, right? And she goes, okay, I get it. By the way, when I went into that high school Hall of Fame, it was really cool. I mean, to go in with the people I went in with, first of all, Don Nalen, our coach, went in. And then, you know, RJ, you know, it was unbelievable for me. Probably the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life, because I know I don't belong. But because of the name Kampe, starts with a K, I got to sit between Archie Griffin and Bernie Kosar. Kosar's something, man. Ooh. He's a talker. Archie doesn't say anything. And I know Archie Griffin had no clue who I was. Lomas Brown went in. Lomas lives in where I live. You know, he's the voice of the Detroit Lions now, and he lives in the same community that I live in. And he had no idea who I was. When I got introduced, he came up after me and said, Coach, I didn't recognize you. Hey, how you know. I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I bring this up because sitting next to Archie Griffin was kind of cool. First of all, my dad played football at Michigan, and my brother played against Archie. He played football at Michigan, too. I wasn't good enough, but I'm in the Hall of Fame. So I looked at Archie, and I said, hey, you know why I'm sitting next to you? And he looked at me, and he had no idea my name. He goes, no. I said, because between us we have 2 Heisman trophies. Am I doing okay, Father? All right, I'll answer any questions. We got time? Yeah. 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes? Oh, I got a lot more jokes.
Yes, Coach Kampe, I have a question. As you said that students are a lot different than when we went to school.
My mom used to say that too, but I don't think she would have been too happy with the year 2023.
Yeah. And a lot of these kids are under pressure, and suicide is very high in the college age. What do you say to your players to encourage them?
Well, so much of that is, so people ask me all the time, why did you coach basketball instead of football when you were a football player? Now, I played basketball at Bowling Green too, but my GPA was much higher than my scoring average. And my GPA wasn't that good either. First of all, let me say this about that, and this is not downplaying what's going on, but the reason we know all that stuff is because of social media and because we verbalize it. Where back in those days we didn't verbalize it, right? Back when we were young, there were people that were committing suicide. There were all kinds of the same issues and problems. The acceptance and fear is just 2 such important words. But what I do with them, first of all, we give them everything you could possibly want, okay? We have a nutritionist, we have a strength coach, we have a sports psychologist, we have intervention, we have things all over campus, and I have to sit through, every employee of the university, we sit through what we do when we encounter this, what we do when we encounter, anything bad that happens. And so it's such an awareness that I'm kind of limited in what I can do. For example, I haven't said the Pledge of Allegiance in a long, long time. If I made my team stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance, I wouldn't have a job. Life has changed, and we do pray. We do pray, Father. I'm a very devout Catholic now. I wasn't a Catholic, but I became one because my wife was Catholic and my kids are Catholic and that, and I probably go to Mass 3 to 4 times a week. So, but I can't share that with my players. Now, I do talk to them about having something to believe in that you have to believe, but I can't tell them what to believe in. We do pray before the game, and we pray after the game. We say the Lord's Prayer because if you ever look at the Lord's Prayer, which I suppose you have once or twice, right? The word I is not in the Lord's Prayer.
Right.
And that's why I make them say it. I can't make them say it. I ask them to say it, and I tell them that you don't have to, but I've never experienced a kid that didn't. All right? So those are the types of things that we can't do those things, and we have to find creative ways to get our beliefs across. One of the things that I use now with my team is, you talk about Knight passing away, and Knight was an icon when I was in my 20s. I wanted to be Bob Knight. I wanted to coach just like him. I wanted to throw the chair farther than he threw it. But as time has gone on, they say probably he would have really struggled in this day and age, right? And that's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. But I was very similar as, Mark could tell you that I was really I really liked myself when I came out of high school. I thought I was really good. But how at 5'9", how can you compete in the world I was trying to compete in if you didn't, right? You had to have that in you. The society and coaching knocks that out of you really fast. And I believed everything that I was against as a player. When I became a coach, I wanted those things, all right? One of them was uniformity. We're a team. That's my biggest problem with today is no one teaches team. We lack authority, we lack respect for authority, and we don't, as parents, teach teams. We're in the second generation of we don't spank our kids now, right? This is the second generation of that. We don't teach team. We don't teach the value of teamwork. When I first started coaching, businesses wanted my players because they knew they could interact within the team. But now we don't teach that. We teach the individual. We praise the individual. Okay? So one of the things I've tried to do as I go through this is learn and keep the culture of my team and my players and what I teach. I lower the scope of what's important. For example, this is kind of off the wall, but if you really dissect this, it's really unbelievable. If you played for me, you can't wear anything that I didn't give you. You know, I'd see a kid come out to practice and underneath his practice jersey is this, I don't know, some shirt that his favorite lucky shirt. I'd throw him out of practice years ago, right? We all had to wear the same shoe. We all had to do this. We all had to be the same. Knight was like that way, and I wanted to be like Knight. Plus, I believed in it. I believed in the team. I think the team is more important than anything. I still do to this day. So Steph Curry, he goes out and he wins the world championship, averages, and he's got purple shoes on. Now, you might not think that, but those kids do. They all want to wear those purple shoes. You know what those shoes cost? How does a kid with no money that's begging for NIL money pay $800 for a pair of shoes? But they do. So I had to change, right? Adapt or die. I had to change. So now I went from you have to wear exactly the same shoe to you can wear any shoe, but I have to approve it. Our arch rival, your arch rival's Michigan, my arch rival's University of Detroit. They're red. Okay? You can't wear red. Don't be showing up with red in your shoe. Right? I had a guy come in and watch practice with a red shirt on. I threw him out. You're not wearing red in my building. Now they do. Because of Steph Curry. Now my thing is, if I'm going to have non-negotiables, I better have good ones. For example, if you're late, you're gone. You show up to practice, practice is at 10 and you're not there at 9:45. I can't say 9:45, because they don't know what that is. Honest to God, they do not know what 9:45 is. I say it all the time. It slips out and my staff's going, 9:45. So if you're not there, that's a non-negotiable. You miss class, that's a non-negotiable. But I can't have very many of them, right? Otherwise, then I'm old and antiquated and I can't coach and, the games pass me by and all the things that people want to say. So we have non-negotiables. There's a really long answer to your question, but that introduction was really long and anybody else got anything? Yes, sir.
The way they pick the teams for the tournaments at the end of the year, and a lot of the mid-majors don't get put in there, even though they have better records, and they've beaten some of the teams that are in Division I. You think they should add more teams into the tournament, or how do you think they should do that?
This is a really tumultuous time right now. You saw what happened with the NIT last week. Did people know what the NIT is? Okay, the NIT was the first tournament before the NCAA tournament. People would turn down the NCAA tournament back in the 60s and 50s to go to the NIT because that was the prestigious one. Then they flipped. Now the NIT would, if Oakland wins the Horizon League, when Oakland wins the Horizon League, if we had beaten our conference tournament, we would go to the NIT. They took that away. They took all the automatic bids away from the NIT, except now they're giving the Power 5 conferences. They're 2 from each conference, 12. It's not Power 5 anymore because the Big East doesn't have football, so it's the something 6. So those 6 programs get 2 for sure, 2 automatic bids. So who wants to watch a team that was 6-12 in their league play in a postseason tournament instead of an Oakland who went 27-4 and got upset in our postseason tournament, and we can't get into the NCAA tournament because they don't want. Follow the money. right? Max and I were talking on the way here about Harbaugh and the rules, right? Why isn't there a shot clock in high school basketball? Exactly. You know how much money that would cost for every school to go out and purchase? Why, when the NCAA moved the three-point line back to 20 feet 9 inches, is the high school line still 19.9? Because you're going to have to repaint your court, and that's going to cost a lot of money. Now you got a girls' line, a guys' line, right?
Yeah.
All because of money. Everything that's done in sports and athletics is all about money. It's $1 billion. Okay, here's a good one. Right now, the world is clamoring for college basketball. Why don't we have quarters? Pro ball has quarters, European ball has quarters, high school has quarters, and now women's college basketball went to quarters. Why won't the men's game go to quarters? Anybody know why? Because the NCAA tournament has a contract with the NCAA that runs until the 2032, 2033, and every 4 minutes is a media timeout. If you watch us tonight, and you might want to watch the first couple of minutes, we'll be around for a few minutes. At the 16-minute mark, there's going to be a media timeout. So, and then at the 12-minute mark, and then at the 8-minute, and then at the 4-minute. In the second half, you have those, and the first timeout called in the second half turns into a media timeout. So there's 5 in the second half. If you go to quarters, you can't do that. What are you going to do? 8 minutes, 6 minutes, and the game will be so nobody will want to watch it. So that's not going to happen until the early 30s. Once the new tournament, once the new TV contract comes in, they'll figure a way out and we'll have quarters. Okay? And I tell you what, you don't recognize this probably because you're watching the NCAA tournament game in a timeout. You either flip the channel and go to another game, or that's when you run to the refrigerator, right? Or, like I said, for the looks of this, we run to the bathroom. I'm telling you, as I get older on that court, I'm like, if these TV timeouts were a little bit longer, I'd be running to the bathroom. So if you're actually coaching in the game, and in the NCAA, yes, I have coached in the NCAA tournament. My team has made it. I was in shock though, because the media timeout's a minute and a half, right? Not in the NCAA tournament. It's 3 minutes. Do you know how dumb my players think I am? Because I sit down in front of them and I've got about 7 seconds worth of anything that's worthwhile, and now we got to sit for 2 minutes and do the math. 53 seconds, right? And I'm like, what do you think? What play do you want to run? I mean, those timeouts are unbelievable. And then I get criticized. Why do you play that guy 36 minutes? He's so tired. How can he be tired? Every 4 minutes he gets to sit for 3 minutes. I get tired sitting there. Whatever. Anything else? Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Good. Yes, sir. I graduated a first-team all-league point guard for 3 years. And that's a really important position. And you may know the guy that's playing the point for me. His name's Rocket Watts. He was on the all-Big Ten freshman team for Michigan State. And he left Michigan State because Izzo tried to make him a point guard, and it didn't work out. Why did I think I was smarter than Izzo? I don't know. You know, our point guard position is a real question mark, and you can't win. You can't win in college basketball if you don't have adequate play at the point, and right now I don't know if I do. Now, 7 hours from now, I might call you on the phone and say, yeah, he's pretty good. Most likely I'll probably be in my car on the way home wondering, what am I going to do at the point? So I've got a really good player, a possible pro, And when you, in the game of college basketball, if you have one really good player, you can be in any game. And I've got a couple guys that can really shoot it. Now, there's a chance they'll miss everything tonight. And you'll say, man, Coach was right. They do shoot it. I wonder if they'll ever go in. I get that recruiting all the time. Coaches call me and say, hey, I know you love shooters. I got one. And my answer is, oh, no, I don't love shooters. I love makers. I think we have a chance to be pretty good. I really do. I think we have a chance to be good. I have, like everybody else, I got so many new guys. So in college basketball right now, they say get old and stay old. So that's what we did. You know that San Diego State played in the national championship game last year? And how'd they get there? Well, their starting lineup was older than 5 NBA teams. I mean, that's, gotta get old and stay old right now for one more year, because all these guys are getting that extra COVID year. So I got a guy 24 years old. 24 years old. He should be having babies and whatever. Well, he better make some shots tonight. Yeah.
Recently, Oakland University hired a local kid, Mitch Alters, to lead your swim program. But many years before him, you had another coach that was local that won 13 national championships and was an 8-time NCAA Coach of the Year, Ernie McGlisco, who's from Massillon. Do you have a relationship with him? And is he revered at Oakland like he is around the swimming world? Is he revered at the university like he was?
So I got to Oakland 40 years ago, and Ernie had just left. Man, you're not even 40 years old, are you?
Barely.
Wow. And that's a name. No, Ernie, when I got there, was revered. But so the guy that he hired, Peter Hovland. So our swimming program is one of the best in the country. We've had Olympians, we've won Division II national championships, we've scored in the nationals. We have an Olympic-sized pool. We really do it right in swimming. And Ernie is, yes, he was, but I would tell you today, if you walk through there, nobody. Yeah, I've been a coach at Oakland in 40 years. 20 years from now, they're going to walk through and, what was that fat guy's name that was the coach? You know, I've lost a lot of weight, so I can make fun of myself. Yes, sir, in the back.
How much longer do you think the NCAA will be around, or will the big conferences just take over college sports?
So what Joe Average fan, and I'm not saying you're a Joe Average fan, I do see a Cleveland Brown thing in there, and the Lions are much better than you this year. What Joe Average fan doesn't understand is the NCAA has nothing to do with college football, other than the rules, not the game rules, but the recruiting. If you cheated, the NCAA comes in. The NCAA makes no money off college football, not a cent. They don't govern it. Okay? They govern all the other sports. Their cash cow is the NCAA men's basketball tournament, $3, $4, $5 billion. I don't know the number. It's like anything else in politics. They'll tell you what you want to hear and not what the real number is. So how long will it be around? The NCAA is made up of college. We are the NCAA. So what we do is we hire the president of the NCAA. The people that run the committees and that are all college presidents, college ADs, women's, whatever they're called, coordinator of women or whatever, I don't know. Financial people are faculty reps. That's who the NCAA is. All those committees are made up of people that are actually, they don't work for the NCAA, they work for, like my athletic director is on a committee, my president's on a committee, my SWAC is on a committee, my compliance officer's on a committee. They're the NCAA. So I would say it'll never go away, because then we go away. Now in football, they went away because football didn't want to share the money. Why should Oakland University, it doesn't have a football program, make any money off the national champ? That's why they're going to 12 teams. They want money, right? So those programs let the NCAA be the police, but nothing else. The NCAA has nothing to do with it. There's a term, and I can't think of it right now, that they're governed by, not governed, they're run by the college football something, association, but that's not it. Does that make sense? So in answering your question, the NCAA will evolve and change. It has to. The reason so many things are coming down is because everybody sues and they're tired of, the NCAA spends all their money on lawyers. I have a brother that's a lawyer and a sister that's a lawyer. God, they got it made. The lawyers make all the money because everybody's suing everybody, right? And so that's why the transfer rule went in. Why? Because they're tired of being sued. My kid wants to transfer. Well, he's going to have to sit a year. No, he's not. Yes, he is. That's the rule. Okay, we're going to sue. And they did. I got a kid right now trying to get eligible. You know what I told him? Sue. Because I want him to play. He's probably my second best player. You know why he's ineligible? Because he was in Australia and he couldn't get out of the country during COVID, so he only went to junior college for 3 semesters. He graduated from the junior college, which is all you, at that point, was all you have to do is graduate. But Oakland wouldn't take a couple of his classes because we have some academic integrity. And so he doesn't have enough hours to be eligible, and we're saying he's a 3.7 student. Isn't that what you want? The reason you have that hour thing is all you want to do is prove he can play, and we're not